So, the new trailer for Metroid Prime 4 just came out. I wanted to point out some of the suit design elements that hopefully others have not, so this video isn't redundant. Starting with the new design for the various suit. Something to note is that both carry elements from all over the series, including something from Other M. In fact, look at this screen of the arm cannon and compare it to how it looked in the other Prime games. Notice the difference? Both the top part and this light right here are elements that came from Other M. The top part is likely adapted from Fusion's arm cannon. The light though, I remember starting in Other M, but I thought it's been in other games. Primarily Dread, it only has a line with no light there. It's a bit different here in Prime 4, but it might be referential, much like other elements of the suit, including this part of the chest piece, which has been around in nearly every single various suit in the series since its design in the original Metroid 2. It's even in Dread, twice. Also, the doubling up of the lines here looks so familiar. I can't find where the suit had that before. Immediately in this new trailer, I noticed the colors were different. The lights were now purple. It took me longer to notice the helmet changed. See that? That's third eye imagery. So it's pretty obvious that it's psychic powers even before it's mentioned in a trailer later on. Now the lights on the chest piece, they often swap between facing up at the ends or facing down on the inside. Normally I prefer the other way, but it may look so good here. It's also quite different than how Prime 2 and 3 did it. Now, this might be controversial, but I never really liked the Prime 2 and 3 visor shape, or the helmet overall. The visor sticking up there just isn't how I prefer the visor, but it's also weird for lore reasons, as the Fusion suits also had it, but that's supposed to be a stripped down armor design where bits and pieces were missing, and it's still smaller than Prime's. I also think it would be better aesthetically if they kept the normal visor design now that they have the third eye on top. A bit like Dark Samus had it, now that I think about it. Well, actually, you can only see the third eye under the visor, and not on top of it. The visor curving down like it should means that the round third eye curves with it, rather than this lump pointing up at it, to make it sit up higher on the head. The helmet shape itself always felt more squished in and flat, the opposite of what it should be. It's meant to be more elongated, like it was meant for an alien head and was retrofitted for Samus. I also don't care for the lines on top over the original having this pointed part here. At least if the lines curved in the other way, it would evoke the classic helmet shape more, since instead of that round pointy bit, it'd be lines that kind of point inward. Now it kind of overemphasizes her forehead by making it look wider at the top. Other than that, it's a solid design, and it's the best one we've ever gotten of it. The back of the helmet is also missing its gills, like Prime 2 and 3 had. I can't find a good image of that. Look at the little details on the shoulders, which are otherwise very faithful to the Prime trilogy and the rest of the series. But these fins on top get cut off, so they don't overlap over this ridge with the lights. I think I preferred how it was before with the little sharper ends. By the way, these enemies look like reskins of the Preonians from Prime 3. Did they keep the skeleton animations from that game all this time so they could just reuse them? Or did they make these enemies from scratch and they just happen to look like enemies from a previous game? I mean, the Prime series has always done reskins of previous enemies, but usually to save development time. So it'd be kind of weird if they had to remake them from scratch. The sort of silhouette shape of Samus in this game is also much more different than other Prime games. It seems they were influenced by Dread here, or it's to be consistent with their designs everywhere else. But in the Prime trilogy, she was shaped more like this. But now she's shaped more like this. The chest piece is fairly accurate to before, but the area around the neck is smoother and flatter. And the shoulders now have this new ring coming in. Kind of makes it look like it'd be hard to move with that sticking there, but what do I know? The hand is so different, but still, it's so sleek and cool with the top sticking out there and everything. It's just a great redesign. The upper arm seems to be the best the various suit has ever gotten. Often, it just feels like they throw in lines here and there just to keep it from looking bland, but this one has a clear shape to it with intentional lines that mimic what is on her lower leg armor, so it's a more consistent design overall. The abdomen area is very faithful to what we had before, but this thing right here, the sternum armor, I guess you could call it, is redesigned. It's a bit over-designed to me, so I'm not a huge fan, but it doesn't look bad. What does look off though is how much it protrudes out now. And then the rib-like armor also sticks out a lot and even lays on top of this piece, so it looks like it sticks out even more, leaving these weird gaps everywhere. It wasn't like this before, and just looks slightly awkward for such a sleek design. Okay. You've waited long enough. The new suit. Now, doesn't this area remind you of the old Twitter pic Retro Studios put out years ago? I think that must have been an early version of this area, maybe from a different angle, with way brighter lights. Now, the design of the suit itself, the first thing they show you is the feet, and I like the emphasis on the pointy bits here. Typically in the Varia suit, always seem like there's these little boosters, maybe for the speed booster, but they weren't as emphasized in the Prime suit. They clearly aren't boosters or thrusters here, but visually I still like it. Also, the ribbing here and the padding and the soles of the shoes look so good. It's very similar to previous shoe designs overall. Even this bit right here looks familiar from somewhere. The silver parts on the spine are such a perfect touch. It's so good. The color work on this suit is amazing. The red is darker, almost more passionate feeling than a normal red. I'm not the best with color terminology. I can't even tell you what kind of red this is. It's like a fruity red. Maybe a strawberry but darker. It's hard to explain for me. I also like the dark gray separating the reds. The shape of the thrusters with this pointy ridge sticking out and curved inward also seems familiar from a previous design, but I couldn't figure out where. I love the textured work of the stomach area. It shows it's a distinct, more flexible material from the other gray areas. The sternum part I mentioned earlier is still there in its design. It's more elongated and flattened and flows with the rest of the abdomen. But look at these two lines here. It's just like in the previous Varia suits in the Prime series. Oh wait, except they changed it for this game. The shoulders have inverted the new ring I was talking about earlier. Instead of sticking in on the top, they stick out on the bottom. So overall, the suit design, I've heard everyone say it's just like the light suits from Prime 2. The light suit had 4 lights, but I can still sort of see the resemblance, especially when it compared it to a Morbus, which shares the light suit design but with only 3 eyes. But to me, the shoulders seem like a lot of other things as well. They kind of look like the Prime 3 space pirates, or maybe the Super Metroid Sebastian. This definitely looks like the side of the head of something very familiar. Those 3 lights are very common in Metroid design. There's even 3 dots hidden on her arm cannon, or even the back of the fusion suit cannon. But I think this is meant to emphasize the third eye motif, since this is likely a suit based around the psychic abilities, or made by psychic aliens. Now, the gray of the chest piece, to me it's a bit too much. I like there to be more red interspersed, much like on the back. Maybe this piece being red would break it up more, but it's not a bad thing at all. It just feels like there's something missing here. Maybe add some silver like on the back, but overall, a clean design isn't a bad thing, and it still looks so good and so sleek. The lines of purple light down the body look so much like the gravity suits in Metroid Dread. I like it. I have to wonder if it's inspired by that design or if it was just 2 different artists came up with a very similar idea. I think I prefer it the way it was done here. The legs are fairly basic, adhering to the designs of the various suits more than something new, but the lower legs are a little bit different, and they remind me of the concept artwork of the first Prime game. I swear there was one piece of art that had the lower legs look just like that, but the only thing I find that looked similar to what I remember was this art of Dark Samus's arm. I bet you the artist for this game went through all that old artwork because it just feels so similar in a lot of ways. Well, that's all we can really see of this suit for now, but here's some other things in the trailer to note that might not have been mentioned by others. There's this plant monster whipping at you, very similar in look to some environmental things from Prime 2. Oh look, a backdash. That's new. The environment design feels very Prime 3-ish in many areas, especially this texture on the ground right here. Alright, the mock droids look really good, if that is what they are. I kinda wish they retroactively made all the Metroids in the Prime games mock droids, since they were so unthreatening and easily destroyed, but it would be kinda ironic if they made them tougher in this game, despite lore-wise being weaker than real Metroids. Now that is a big Prime 1 looking space pirate. The pirates are a coalition of species, so I like having multiple designs distinct from each other in a single game. The other primes, it was like you only fought one single species each game, just with some variants. So it's nice to see that more acknowledged. This boss feels very Flagra-like. They really are taking elements from all the games. Of course, plant bosses are nothing new to the series, as the 2D games had them as well, but this one, it's stuck in the center, and you can see these spikes sticking out of the ground, like the roots. Flagra, it did something similar, but grew a bunch of grass. Alright, well, that's all the details I care to talk about. I'm sure you can find plenty of other videos pointing out way more. I just wanted to gush about the suit design a little bit. Thanks for bearing with me. I hope my audio was decent. I'm terrible at that, so hopefully I can improve over time. But that's it. That's the video. Thank you, and goodbye.